Hey guys, it's Lisa. Welcome back to the book club. We need to talk. Okay, I've been missing in action for over a week. My last video I posted, I think I was out on the deck and I was talking about the big stack of books, some of the bigger books in my collection, and that night I got a sore throat, and boy, I went down like a stack of bricks. I've been very sick this is day 11, and my throat is still sore, and, well, not sore, but raw. I'm still congested. But I wanted to put out a quick video. Well, I hope it's not too long. Just talk to you about, first of all, some books I read and I'm reading, and also just want to thank you very much for all the kind words and thumbs up you left me on my post that I put on my community tab or my Instagram page if you follow me over there, and about my poetry that I recently posted. I am a poet. I do write some poetry. I've never published it, but I'd love to one day. I have no idea how to even start doing that, but hey, never say never. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys for all your warm thoughts and thumbs ups. I wasn't quite sure if I should. I mean, writing poetry, like, it's a pretty sheer medium, right? Like, I mean, not that I'm afraid of sharing. Clearly I overshare on the internet as it is anyway, but writing poetry and putting poetry out there is pretty transparent, and you are opening yourself up to criticism, and sometimes on the internet that is not always a good thing, but you guys are so great, so thank you so much. So I just want to thank you all very much for that, and also all the warm wishes and thoughts you've been sending me about just getting better and getting over this cold, and yeah, so you guys are the best. Okay, I got some books to talk about, and let's do it fast before my voice goes away. So I've got 6 books here. I got 4 that I've read. One of them I'm not quite done yet, but we're getting there. And then I got 2 in process, and one of them is my new historical figure that I've finally chosen. Yes, we'll talk about that too. Okay, so let's talk about these books. So I got 4. None of them were overly long. I'd say 3 of them were actually incredibly short, which is a good thing because I wasn't feeling that well. The first one I want to show you guys, I hope this is focusing. I feel like I have to sit a million miles away from this camera because I can't figure out how to fix the zoom. Like, it's just one more thing to figure out. Anyway, it's Take My Dividend Strategy by Tracey Edwards. So Tracey is a fellow YouTuber. She's an Australian woman who shares with us all about her investment strategies and advice for investing in the stock market. And she lives in Australia. And did I just say that? I don't know. Focus, Lisa. So anyway, this is a really short book about her strategy, she got 3 main strategies that she does is the size of the company, the amount of dividend they pay, and how stable those dividend payments are. So she's financially independent. I admire her. I think she's puts out some great advice. Check out her channel. I'll link it in the doobly-doo thing below. I'll try not to screw it up because it seems like every time I try to link to somebody's channel, I never get it right. So Tracey Edwards, Take My Dividend Strategy. If you're interested about learning how to invest in the stock market, or you've always been afraid to invest in the stock market and you don't know how, she makes it really easy. She breaks it down, common sense, how to get started, how to become more diversified, or if you're an investor but you're interested in dividend payments, that's her MO. Like, that's what she does. So check her out. Tracey, you're wonderful. If you ever watch this, I thank you so much for all your great advice. I love all your videos, and I'm happy to have read your book. And I've got your other one on order, so we'll talk about that when I get it too. So yeah, Tracey Edwards. All right, the next one I read was a short poetry collection called Sad Birds Still Sing by Faraway. So I never heard of Faraway before, but apparently he's a very popular Instagram poet, like a bazillion followers on Instagram. I didn't learn that until after I read this. But if you've always been afraid of reading poetry, like Billy Collins, who is a US poet laureate, he said, like the way he likes to do it is like just throw poetry at you before you have time to deploy your poetry deflector shields that were installed in high school, right? When we had to read all those long classic poems. And you know what, if you love long classic poems, that's great, good for you, that's awesome. Some of us, you know, a more modern interpretation. And here I have the Iliad on my list, so who am I talking about? Anyway, so Sad Birds Still Sing. It's, you know, the poems are really short. They're very relatable. You know, he taps into those human emotion. I think he comes across as maybe a younger man. I'm not quite sure, but younger than me. Maybe I'm just older and a little bit more bitter. I don't know. But, you know, I thought it was all very relatable. I quite enjoyed this. You know, he touched on topics of, you know, just things we can all relate to. And if, like I was saying, if you're new to poetry and you've always been kind of afraid of it, start with something like this, because it's very digestible, it's very easy to understand, and he taps into those very relatable things that we can all kind of connect with, and, you know, it's kind of universal. So, yeah, so that was Sad Birds Still Sing. It's a lovely collection of heart and emotion. So it was great. And check out his Instagram page. You'll like it. Okay, let's keep rolling before I lose my voice. Okay, first of all, this book, we gotta talk about this. This is another poetry collection. I'm actually not quite finished it because I want to savor it. So first of all, we gotta talk about this cover. I mean, look at it. It's stunning. So, when I bought this, first of all, this was a little pricier than I would normally pay for a poetry collection. This was $34 Canadian, which for me is a little on the high end. But I couldn't say no. First of all, this art on the cover is by the author. This is her original an original painting that she did. And they printed it on like canvas board, like feeling like I'm an artist and I paint, and you can buy these boards that you can paint on instead of like, you know, just a canvas that's stretched. You can buy it glued on boards, and it has that same texture, and it's just glorious to touch, and the art is just totally cool. I've spent time just looking at the art and just, you know, interpreting it, and I think it's just great. Anyway, let's talk about the author. So the book is called I Would Leave Me If I Could, a collection of poetry by Halsey. Okay, I had no idea who Halsey was. And when I got this home, I was like, who is this poet? And the blurb in the back, it's like 2 sentences, says, Halsey, born Ashley Nicolette Frangipane, is a Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter. She lives in Los Angeles, California. I'm like, Grammy-nominated? Who is this amazingly talented woman? So, you know, what do? You bust out the Google. Okay, so she came up, didn't recognize her, didn't really recognize any of the names of the song. She's young, I'd say under 30. And I need a sip of tea. So I thought, okay. So I told Alexa. I'm not going to tell Alexa what to do because I don't want to get copyrighted. But I played some of her music on Spotify, and I recognized several of the songs. So I'm like, okay. So $34.99. Okay, but you know what? Boy, do you get what you pay for. This is so good. This is so good. I would say it's a little bit more advanced than like a poetry collection like this. Like all the poems are quite short, and you know, some of them are only 4 or 5 lines long each, and you know, a lot of my poems are like that too. I get it. It was very good. Not that I'm comparing poets or poetry or anything, but you know what I mean. These ones are longer, or stretch over several pages. But but boy, so good, so good. I do want to say a bit of a warning: if you are sensitive to explicit content or, you know, kind of grungy language, maybe this isn't for you. But if that doesn't bother you so much, you know, I thought it was good, and it's not used like as a trinket. It adds, like, it's just not being vulgar or swearing for the sake of being vulgar or swearing. Like, it's done with intent and purposes, and I appreciated the application of not only her language, but also how her expression of what she was talking about in each piece of poetry that's in this little book. And I love it when stuff like this happens. I love it when stuff like this happens. When somebody that's incredibly talented, like, she's a Grammy nominated singer-songwriter, so you know, she's talented, but, well, I mean, not that we have to put all our eggs on, like, award shows or whatever, but you know what I mean. I love it when talented people like that come out with stuff like this, and it's not tied to any, like, promotion or album, or, you know, it's not some, you know, gimmick about, you know, whatever. This is a standalone piece of art that this person has put out because she's just a talented person. And I love it when stuff like that happens. I just think it's amazing, and I really am enjoying this, if you can't tell. So yeah, I haven't ripped through it. Like I said, I want to savor it. So I'll probably finish reading it tonight, or most of it. But then I want to do a reread really quick. So yeah, so that's I Would Leave Me If I Could by Halsey. Check her out, listen to her music. She's fabulous. Highly recommend. All right, the last book I have, well, no, that I read, I got two more to talk about quickly, is All's Well by Mona Awad. And I did talk about this in, I think, another video where I was talking about bookoutlet.ca. This was so good, and I knew it would be. I think Mona Awad could be a new favorite author. I want to read another book of hers to make sure. I'm kind of eyeing up Rouge. I may have a hold on it at the library, I'm not sure. This is so good. So she's the same author that wrote Bunny that I gushed about before. That was the book about the college girls that were all cliquey and they all call each other Bunny and they're all crazy and psychotic. This is so good. This is about a woman who is a theatrical director at a, like, I'd say, community college. And she suffers with physical chronic illness. So really good representation. I don't think we see a lot of that in literature. She over-medicates. The cover, this comedy face, is all pills. She's a little unreliable as a narrator because she's so stoned all the time and not paying attention. The cast, she wants to put on All's Well, That Ends Well by Shakespeare. The cast isn't happy about this choice. They want to do something else. There's a little bit of mutiny going on. It's so good. And then at the end, we get the classic Mona Awad. I'm going to call it the classic Mona Awad, only this is my second book by her. Things started getting a little weird, like unhinged. And I was like, it's happening. It's happening. She's disassociating. She's good. It was so good. It was so good. I think I actually even like this a little bit more than Bunny. I know, I said it. Who am I? I said it. It was so good. I think Mona Awad, like 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. If you haven't read this yet, I highly encourage you to. Like, I think I read this in 2 days. Like, I just couldn't put it down. So yeah, All's Well by Mona Awad. Okay, the next two I got here are, well, we'll talk about my buddy read. I'm still reading Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters with Britta. I'll link to Britta's channel in the bloop if I don't screw it up. She's wonderful. Britta's wonderful. Sarah Waters is wonderful. This book, yes, we're behind because of me. Britta, you're right. This is my fault. This was our buddy read for February, and I have been so sick. Like, I was legitimate really sick for the first 5 days. I could barely get out of bed, like let alone read. I have to say, I am in the middle of part 2. I am finding it a little bit draggy. This was a debut novel. It definitely reads like that, but it is very good. It is set in 1800s England during the Victorian era. It's about a love affair between 2 women. If you need to know anything more about it, just Google the title of the book and what it means, and I'll leave it at that. It's good. It's good. I just got to get caught up, Britta. I'm so sorry. It'll happen. Okay, before we wrap this one up, let's talk about my next historical character that I want to read. After if you followed along with my other historical figure, if you haven't, I have a playlist about my time I spent with Napoleon, and I'm a fan. And I thought, since I'm so up to date on that period of time in France and all the places where things took place, you know, I spent a lot of time on Google Maps and figuring things out. When I read Napoleon, I thought, I'm going to capitalize on this. So my next figure, have you guessed who it is? It's Marie Antoinette. So this is Marie Antoinette, The Journey by Antonia Fraser. So this is the book that the movie Marie Antoinette was, that Kristen Dunst starred in. I'll put a picture of it on the screen, which was fabulous. I've seen it. I'm not too worried about like spoiler alerts because, you know, it's Marie Antoinette. I think most of us know what happened to her, but I think she'll be another fascinating character to read. First of all, I wanted to read a character about a woman. Okay, I spent like 820 dense pages with a military man, and I'm a fan and I love Napoleon, but I wanted to spend a little time with some, you know, a little fresh, but capitalize on that, you know, time period that I'm kind of up to date on and familiar with at this point. I think she is a fascinating historical figure in her own right. I think she was a grossly misunderstood woman of her time, and possibly to this day is still a misunderstood woman. And I think that while she had a life of luxury being the Queen of France, she was also a doting mother. She was married when she was like a child of marriage. Like she was like, I think she started being courted to marry the future French king when she was like 14 years old. Like, you know, victim of her circumstance as well. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I did really enjoy the movie adaptation by, is it Sophie Coppola that did it? If I'm not right, I'm pretty sure that's who it was, but I'll double check. Anyway, yeah, so Marie Antoinette, it's gonna happen. I started reading this, I'm only about like an eighth of the way through. But I'll do some reading vlogs of it. I don't know if I'm gonna do like character studies. I do think she had one rumored lover, but it's never confirmed. There was all sorts of vicious rumors about her. So, you know, we'll get into all that, I'm sure. But yeah, so Marie Antoinette, she's going to be the next character study. I hope you stick around and follow along with me as we go through this. So that's it. Those are my recent reads. What's on the docket, and I'm going to wrap this video up before I completely lose my voice. So again, thanks so much for all your kind words and wishing me to get better. I'm on the mend. I'm on the mend, guys. And again, thanks again. If you enjoyed my poetry, go check it out in the community tab if you want to see what I'm going on about. And I think that's it. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, or your morning, wherever you may be, that you are well and healthy as well. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? All right, thanks for hanging out. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye, 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 bye. Let's try this. Oh,